Hey, fellas.
Hello.
I'm just watching, I'm looking for the clock here, and we've made it 9 seconds with no fights. How about that? What
Bravo.
the heck?
What an open.
I didn't even plan that. That just happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
I'm really
why we
proud of
pay you the
myself,
big
Rob.
money that we pay you. That's why you make so much money from doing this.
Yeah.
There's a buddy of mine here, Moncton, Matt Taylor. He listens to these, and he texted me the other day. He's like, "Man, like 3 podcasts in 1 week? Calm down." I was like, "It's show business, man. It's my life. I quit my job. I do this full time."
Oh, man.
Just trying to get filthy stinking rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we were going to get rich off YouTube and off the podcast, this is not the podcast to do, boys. I hate to break it to you. Apparently, you need to go all Mr. Beast or Logan Paul or something to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get we need a boxing match with Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Or give away $10 million, either way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
need some
either way.
drama. We should have had a fight in the first 9 seconds.
Yeah. Actually,
We
that
did
might have
it all
drew
wrong.
people to
We did.
So obviously, we got to talk about that, but maybe we want to go back and talk about the tournament so far in order, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of questions leading into this. Like a lot of people wondered what to expect. There were so many different opinions, and there was 2 really strong sides. Like there was a lot of people that thought this was going to be like an extended All-Star game. People wondering, were they going to take it seriously like the Olympics? Is it really best on best if there's some countries not there and whatever?
I was worried about that. I think I voiced that to you before. I was just worried that this is going to become another. I was scared they were going to be mailing it in, I guess.
All their buddies are away on vacation. You almost expect it.
Yeah. Honestly,
yeah.
but the pride though is real. So.
And I think we just forgot. We just forgot like how important it is. I think there was just something about. So like when they all kind of landed there in Montreal, and you're hearing the interviews and you're listening to the players, they were genuinely like pumped to be there. Some of them had been waiting for it for a long time. Like, some of those guys have never been involved in it, so this was their first experience with it. Nothing felt all-star game or all-star weekend about it at all.
No, not at all.
None of them seem like they'd rather be on vacation with their teammates. It just seemed like because the countries were involved, there was a lot of excitement and whatever. Something I kind of thought too is I wonder if some of these guys think of this also as like an Olympic audition, because you come to a tournament like this, play really well. Now whenever we go talk about the Olympic roster, there's going to be a lot of looking back on this tournament to say which guy performed well, which guy kind of maybe we thought was going to do better and he didn't, like that kind of thing. So anyways, all that being said, what's your guys' thoughts on the compete level, the excitement around it?
I almost want to go back in order, but as it got closer, I got more and more hyped. Like when you asked me 2 weeks ago, my big concern was, this is going to get at least semi-competitive. It won't be an all-star game. And what if someone gets hurt? Someone did. So, yikes, right? And now 2 people, though we don't know the status, but we can get into that after. So Shea Theodore is out for the whole week, maybe more, right? And
round one, game one of the playoffs,
baby.
Yeah,
round 1, game 1, yeah, touche. And Matthew Tkachuk is out at least for tomorrow. So when people are listening to this, it will be today, right? It'll be Monday, but the compete level, I knew. See, I'm of two minds. Don't get hurt before the playoffs. All the teams are right chock full of superstars. You know what I mean? Like there's like 16 different NHL teams here. Their number one player is playing. Yeah. And for several of those teams, their number 2 and their number 3 are also playing. Because there's 4 different teams in the mix, different countries. And I was honestly worried about that aspect. That said, and I should be doing this in order, but Canada versus the US, period 1 of that game might be the single greatest period of hockey I have seen in the last 20 years. It was unbelievable.
Do not disagree.
It's death of the All-Star game. Never want to see it again. That was unbelievable. Upset that Canada lost. Did I get to watch like just an amazing 3 periods of hockey? Yep. Like it was unreal. And the compete level, these guys, they all want it. Oh my gosh, they want it. Like it's the compete level is high.
I was expecting a lot more open, high chance, high opportunity, lots of but that's just playoff grinded out hockey the whole way through.
The whole way.
So exactly. So let's talk about the Sweden game first. Now I know that was a few days. It's almost like I've forgotten some of it just because like after. So I guess like the way to describe it or talk about it is we see the players there. They're genuinely excited. And you're like, okay, like you still don't know what it's going to be like on ice. But I have been excited about this for a long time, and I was pretty sure it was going to be pretty good hockey. Like Gary said, I wasn't sure that like what intensity level it would be at or what type of vibe it would have. But just seeing all the storylines around Crosby and McKinnon being buddies, and they were genuinely pumped to be playing together finally, and the level of like it's funny, like these, like you said, Tice, like these are like number 1 guys for their teams, and they're all like kids in candy stores. They're just like they're almost like wide-eyed, like I can't believe, and a lot of them were like, I can't believe I'm in a dressing room with Sidney Crosby. Like I'm on a team with Sidney Crosby. Like a lot of these guys were pretty, shocked by that. So, I think there was a lot of pride there. And then when the puck drops, so it was within the first minute, McKinnon goes out, lays a big hit on the board. Big hit. I'm like, okay. And then he draws a penalty. And in less than a minute into that Sweden game, Canada's power, and you're so excited. I think I said this. I was so excited to see this power play of Makar, McKinnon, McDavid, Crosby, and I guess Sam Ryan. You can put anyone else in that, any of the rest.
Well,
of them.
I viewed that 5th spot as Reinhardt or Marner are going to be interchangeable here. Is how I viewed that.
Yeah,
like,
and I thought like it's whoever you want to put. You could put anybody in the bumper.
It could have been, it could have been Marchand, could have been Marner, could have been Reinhardt, could have been. They're just gravy. They're gravy on the meat and potatoes here.
Yeah, but these 4 guys to set up these goals was going to be. So, anyways, I guess the point is like there was a big hit and like it got physical really quick, and the pace also was really quick, and that was a really fun game to watch. The other thing too is I was probably most fascinated to see was just to see how some of these guys adjust. You take super good hockey players, but put them on a team with 0 time to practice. Basically, they had 2 practices. They have no chemistry, but they're all really good. So it's a really fun experiment to see who figures this out and who kind of maybe takes a while. So I really enjoyed that.
The problem with that other people need to understand is we're seeing the fastest, hardest hitting hockey I've seen in years. And like maybe the owners will really regret having this tournament. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it really makes the rest of the year look like, because underestimating how much pride these all guys have in wanting to play for their country and NHLers haven't been allowed to go to the Olympics or anything, right? So that's been taken away. But Bieksa pointed out as well, you got to understand the McKinnons, the McDavids, the Crosbys, and the same on the other. Like if we're talking about the U.S., you know what I mean? The Larkins and the Kachucks and the Eichels, right? Matthews. They're also playing against the best in the world. Right? So when you're wondering, like, why can't McDavid get anything done? Well, it's because they're not a bunch of pylons out there. Like, there's a reason why.
And they built the teams. They built checking lines into these teams.
Yes, they did.
Best checking lines in the NHL.
Yep. You said
Which
it, Gary.
Probably should have been the hint for the style of play we were going to have, but.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we've seen that in the past. But yeah, seeing Anthony Cirelli get an invite, I'm like, your instincts to be like, it's John Cooper, you know, of course he's going to have a Tampa Bay line. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do think it's like discrediting Cirelli a little bit because like he's one of the best in the league as a shutdown guy.
Yes.
Like you guys, I mean, you guys have seen him. Yeah, I mean, when Colorado played them in the final, I guess 3 years ago now, he was glued to McKinnon. He was like, and then like stood out every time he was on the ice with stuff.
No, he does his job and he does it very well.
Right. So you've got that line built into Canada, especially when they brought in Sam Bennett. I mean, holy cow.
I was just going to bring up Sam Bennett.
Anyways, we keep talking about the American. But anyways, to Gary's point too, like the Americans' first defense pairing was Adam Fox and Jacob Slavin. And Jacob Slavin's whole career has been he's underrated, I
agree.
It kind of crazy that he might actually get, I think, Norris votes now because of the way he's playing in this tournament. But anyways, to your point, why can't, that's such a stacked team. It's like, yes, but that's also a very stacked defense.
Yeah. They're playing against a stacked team.
Right.
Right. So when you throw a line together of, at one point, did we not see like McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid out there for a second, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Well, it was a cool 25 seconds. But the core they're playing against on the other side is no joke. So it's not like if this was a regular NHL game, a team in this tournament, their entire defensive core, you're lucky to have one pairing that's that good out of your 3 or 4 pair. You know what I mean? So yeah, comparing the two games, like the Sweden game, Cooper he pretty well rolled 4 lines. He didn't really change not
any
a lot.
Of the pairings
he didn't change a lot, yeah.
Because things were kind of going well, and I think they were just trying to keep guys together so they could figure some stuff out.
He experimented a little in the third against Sweden, and it wasn't a lot. Yeah.
It was generally like an offensive zone face-off that he'd want to get maybe a little, but like nothing too major. He did play Makar and Taves a lot more than I thought he was going to in that game.
But I get
because, and I mean, I get it, it was really fun for me because I see those guys all the time. So to see them with 2 other pairs, really good, like Josh, like Josh Morrissey and Colt Parayko and but to see the difference between those types of defenders. I mean, Josh Morrissey's been in Norris conversation, and I'm sure people are going to say, yeah, you're biased, whatever. No one can do what Makar and Taves were doing. Like, it was crazy to me to see that. But anyways, yeah, so that Sweden game was fun. I mean, they really they kind of played hockey the way you were talking about, Gary. It was really fast, pretty, but Sweden, I mean, they get some pretty veteran guys too. They stabilized pretty well and actually started, giving it back for good chunks of the second half of the game.
So I will add a couple asterisks here. And then Kevin Bieksa made a point. He was almost offended. It was hilarious. Talking about the Sweden game. One, the first 10 minutes was all Canada and Sweden. It was all
They didn't
Canada.
get a shot for 14 minutes, I think.
It was just a barrage. Then, if I might say, and I hate to do this, but like Sweden came back a bit and they made a game of it and it went to overtime. Were the goals a little weak? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not Sweden's fault. Yeah, but like they always say, like, boys, keep putting it on net. Just keep putting it on net. Keep putting it on net. You know what I mean?
Man.
And that's what they did. That's what they did. It's I'm not calling back Sweden's goals. You know what I mean. They earned their shots. They took their chances. It's just, I'd watch Binnington make a save. I never thought he'd make, like, oh my gosh, he robbed them. And then on the next one, it's like, oh, he's got this, right? Oh, okay. So you made the impossible save a second ago that nobody would have blamed you if it went in. But now that's how I felt that game.
And I was even talking about Brodin before this started because I was like, man, this guy's so good at defending like fast players. I didn't expect him to get
offensive juggernaut.
Yeah. Who saw that one coming?
Wrist shot from above the face-off circle, no screen. Like what?
But Elliot Friedman said something to the effect of, and it almost like offended Kevin Bieksa / Gary. It was hilarious, right? Elliot said they were talking to the Swedish coaching staff, and they kept saying over and over again, if we had played the first 20 the way we played the last 40, we would have had that game. We would have had Canada. If we had played the first 20 the way we could have played the whole game the way we played the last 40. And Kevin Bieksa just was basically like, yeah. Too bad it's a 60-minute game, eh? Like, don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Well, the 10 minutes was all... Yeah, because it's a 60-minute game.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? You can't say,
I know exactly what you're saying.
For 50 minutes, we had Canada. You know what I mean? We would have... Yes, but it's a 60-minute game. So...
Yeah.
I know what Bieksa was saying, right? Like, that can be a legitimate strategy, too, is come out hitting and hit hard. We'll score early, and then, you know what I mean? We got to settle in. Like, that can be a legitimate strategy, which... I don't want to jump ahead, but I honestly think that was part of the American strategy was do not let Canada have their first 10 minutes. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But we can get there in a second, but I honestly think, and good on them, legitimate strategy, I guess. I got to take the wind out of their sails early, right?
Yeah. And I completely get that. I've heard Jared Bednar say different times, when you're talking about your own team, I think it's easy to talk like that in the sense of, if we'd have played like, like we did in the third, the whole game, we would have won. He says stuff like that too, but sometimes he'll catch himself and say, but the other team also has a say in that. It's not just because we couldn't get it. Like the reason we couldn't is because the other team is good.
Yes.
So
it's like this. I always feel like it's like discrediting, if we had to played the whole. What do you mean if you had to played better? You're assuming they wouldn't have played better.
Yeah.
Like there's two sides, you know what I mean?
Like you couldn't play better because anyways.
Because they were all over you. That's why you didn't play that way the whole Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
So I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on that Sweden game. It's just because it was the first game of the whole tournament.
Yep.
It kind of had everyone going, okay, like this is okay. This
I will highlight
like playoffs.
A couple more things from that game, and we can move on to the U.S.-Finland game. Crosby is just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. And do I dare say probably the greatest player to ever put on a Team Canada jersey? So far.
I don't have historical records really in my head. I always feel like when you look in the in the 70s and 60s, there's really crazy stories. But in the Summit Series, I mean, we always compare stuff to that. But however, I mean, he's definitely,
he has to be in the conversation, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's
so he's now 26-1 or something.
Yeah.
In the last, and he's 23-1 as a captain.
Yeah. Pretty good.
He's 37 years old.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look it when he's out there.
That Mark Stone goal in the Sweden game.
Yeah.
He turns the Jets on, flies up the ice. And now I forget which defender it was that he basically, he does the thing where he puts the stick out. And you can't see that anymore. Yeah. Anyways, he holds the stick out, right? And the puck's out and he leans India. And it's just like, Stone said after the game, when he does that, when Sidney Crosby does that, you're just not getting the puck. You won't get it. It's like, sorry, you're not going to get it. But he hangs on to it. He drives like right below the faceoff dot. Everybody's looking at him. And there's no one, and he just, and Mark Stone realizes what's going on. So he just starts skating for the middle of the ice. And Crosby finds him. He gets the one-timer and they score. But like the hustle that Crosby had, I was like, man, he is moving. You know?
And going to the hard places with it. Like he's not.
Oh yeah.
He's not circling out and around. He's not.
Yeah.
So then overtime.
Same thing in overtime, yeah.
Then overtime. And they showed a clip the other night of his just on ice awareness. He is like a truck driver checking his mirrors. It's insane. Like when you actually watch and they play it back and you watch him kind of like he looks to his right, then he looks to his left, then he looks to his right, then he looks over his shoulder, while the puck's on his stick, he's not looking at the puck. He's looking all around. He knew Mitch Marner was coming. Does a drop pass behind himself. He's 30 feet away. Like he's way the heck back. And it's almost like, I'm going to do a drop pass. He'll skate into it.
It was. And I'm going to turn around and hustle as quick as I can to get onside.
Yeah.
Threw it halfway down the rink.
and did.
Well, yeah, because if he hadn't thrown that with enough weight, I mean, the Swedish guy could have just skated
hooked
to it.
Him enough to keep him offside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was I can't remember if I sent it to you, but there was a reel or whatever of Brad Marchand going into the dressing room after that game.
Mm-hmm.
And all the stuff I've seen of Brad Marchand, I'm like, I'm supposed to not like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. He's so funny. And anyways, he goes in the dressing room and he's like, and they're still, taking stuff off. He sits between Marner and McDavid. Crosby's right there. And he goes in, he's like, boys, that was fun to watch. And he's turning around, looking around, smiling. He's like, I might be the biggest fan here. And he's smiling and he sits and he looks at Marner. He's like, attaboy, Mitchie. And then he looks over. He's like, good job, 8-7. He's like, pretty risky play there. Pretty risky play. Going into our zone, between the legs, back to our zone. No big deal. And then he looks and then he looks at Marner and he's like, and then he goes and takes a loop around in the zone. He's almost offside. Said exactly what you said. I died laughing. He's just chirping him. It's so
I
funny.
have never been more conflicted in my life than I am watching Brad Marchand because I'm not supposed to like him.
Yep.
Like I'm supposed to hate this guy and I can't. I want to so bad. I'm trying like, you know what I mean? I feel like a traitor. Like I'm having bad dreams. Like I remember him licking Uncle Leo and being so mad. You know what I mean? And now here I am like, Amanda said the same thing. She said she's so conflicted.
Oh,
like,
man.
What the heck?
When you see the media stuff, it's so good. Like, he's great. But, like, anyways, that clip, it was so funny because, like, McDavid's in the shot and he's looking at him. And it's very much like, it's almost like McDavid is like some guy who was just hired and he's super smart and really good at what he does, but he doesn't know anybody. So like he feels like he can't say anything because he's just kind of watching Marchand like chirping Crosby, and he's like, I'm not saying that. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Telling him he's almost offside. Anyways.
Pretty risky.
Oh, it's the way he says it too. And he's like, that's pretty risky play there, 8-7. Between the legs, back to your own zone, no big deal. Oh dear. Anyways, so yeah, and then that OT, man. I mean, that was fun. Holy cow. Yeah, I mean, Sweden tried to do the possession thing for a little bit, and then that didn't work for too long. What did you think of the 10-minute 3-on-3?
As a fan?
I was torn. Yeah, I get it. You can't go infinity here. While this is not an all-star game and this is competitive, it's also not the playoffs. And what are you going to do? Run 3 overtimes? Like it's
as a fan of the 4 nations, this is pretty awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
In the NHL, when you start sending out 4th liners and 3-on-3 overtime, that's not going to fly quite as well.
That was my point. And so it was funny because a lot of the players thought it was great. And I like McKinnon's answer because they asked him that. And he's like, no. He's like, I was
the
gassed.
full 10 minutes.
Yes, exactly. He's like, after I've already played 25 minutes or 24 minutes as a forward, you want 5 more minutes in the OT where I'm out there the whole time?
And they were looking tired. They had played so hard the first half of the game. Yeah.
And that's with the Team Canada roster where you can flip-flop McDavid and McKinnon and really like a whole raft of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they were
on any 4 of these teams, their 4th line could be a number 1 line on an NHL team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all gassed. Like they're exhausted. Like they're
exactly.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
So in this format, awesome. Like please never go to a shootout. I like give me that 3-on-3. But
agreed.
So side note, were you guys like Marner scores the big game-winning goal? Were you guys like were you guys like is this gonna like are you guys wondering if it's gonna help him out?
Yeah.
In his own postseason kind of stuff, or
that goal was all Crosby.
Well, Gary, I'm going to asterisk this though. While the setup was all Crosby, just a ridiculous, long, he still skated in on 2 defenders. And there's another camera angle where he put that puck. He's an inch away from the far post. You know what I mean? Yep. Like he's shooting on his right side, but he crosses that. It was a nice shot.
It was a great shot.
Like
Absolutely.
He beat him. Like it was a nice shot. Like 1 inch to the left, it still goes in, but he rings it off the post and in. Do you know what I mean? Like it's right there on the edge of missing, right? Like it was a nice shot.
I say it was all Crosby in the sense that he set him up. Yeah. He was coming in full speed on defensemen that were standing
he set him up.
Still.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had speed coming through. He crossed 2 lines with speed and received that like he was moving.
The D-men were just standing there waiting for him.
But there was nothing they could do. Yeah, they weren't going to get up to speed. 100% agree. My wife pointed out she was really happy for Mitch and she loves Mitch. But the thing with Mitch Marner is this tournament, Matthews has been getting all the attention. If you're a Leafs fan. So in Leafs land, Austin Matthews has been getting all the attention. And probably the second most attention was actually on William Nylander, as if he was going to light up this tournament, and he hasn't. Right? So for Mitch to get the overtime winner was like even just confidence-wise, if that's the only goal he gets, like good for you, Mitch. You know what I mean? Kind of like someone had to get it. You know what I mean? In overtime. And everyone probably thought it was going to be Crosby, McKinnon, or McDavid. Not necessarily in that order. One of the 3.
Well, McKinnon, he had 4 shots.
Yeah. And it wasn't. It was Mitch off a setup from Crosby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a nice shot. Like a nice shot.
It's a good point.
The guy who's there to pass and set things up is the guy who gets the OT winner.
Yeah,
exactly. And anyways, we got to talk about this US game. But like, I got to say that it was interesting. It's that Reinhart, McDavid, Marner line McDavid, like they split them up in the second half of the U.S. game, but it was it was interesting to watch because McDavid was really kind of doing everything himself, and I don't say that in a negative way. He can do that.
Yeah,
but like. Yeah, the role for Marner on that line, watching him play like that, I'm like, what is Marner supposed to do? Like, what's his what's he supposed to do here?
Exactly.
Gary might back me up on this, and I said this to Amanda. So Jay, you see way more McDavid than we do, and me and Gary watch a lot more of Marner than you do. When McDavid does this burst of speed thing and he kind of circles back to his right and hugs the boards, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like he does this big wide circle and comes around almost to set someone up. If there's nothing for him, he turns around. Yep. That's Marner's spot. So like
it's a playmaker's move.
Every Leafs game we watch, I'm like, oh, if it ever looks like, well, Mitch doesn't know where to go, so I guess I'm going to go in front of the net. It's like, yeah, because that's usually... Like Austin passes to Mitch, Mitch circles around, and Austin goes to the front of the net.
Like any playmaker, so just like because McDavid does this, McKinnon does the same. You drive in, the defender has to play it as if you're going to attack the net.
Yeah, because you might.
So right. So if you stop up and circle around, you've bought yourself enough time to make a good pass. If you could quickly, you know what I mean. You've bought yourself that time to get it to somewhere, and that's
the role McDavid takes on a lot, setting up other people. Now McDavid's a freak because he can do it all, so it's a different conversation. But the role that he's pretty known for is setting up other people, right? Setting up Zach Hyman, setting up Draisaitl, setting up, you know what I mean? He's good at that, but he can also score. That's Mitch's role. So on the Leafs, Mitch has a sniper on his line, Austin Matthews, and it's almost like you put two playmakers together. And two really good playmakers together, and you didn't exactly give them a sniper on that line. They maybe should be separated with some shooters and let them set up. Like Mitch quarterbacks a lot. Gary will attest to that. He quarterbacks the play, and he sets up Matthews, and Matthews he has almost this one-timer that's not really a slap shot. Like, it's just all day. Like, you know what I mean? But he doesn't have that.
Right. And my thing is you guys would see Sam Reinhart more than I do. He played in Buffalo and he played in Florida. He scored 50 goals. Did he not?
Yep. And so a good chunk on the power play, and the rest of them gritty, worked for goals.
Like Zach Hyman-esque,
yeah.
Right.
Zach Hyman-esque. Like, he is not a sniper.
It makes sense putting him out there.
It does. I will collect that crap off the front of that net, and I will find a way to stuff it in.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
And he's good at it. He's very good at it.
And that's what I thought. But I'm like, has he had the puck one time? I haven't seen him, I haven't even heard his name called.
He usually only has the puck for about 0.2 of a second.
Right.
Because he's giving it to one of those two.
Yeah. Well, he definitely was like, here, you take it. But it just never really got to a point with that line where he was getting pucks in front of the net to shoot them. At least to me, it didn't really seem like he was getting to that. So I felt like his role on that line was even less than Marner's was. So, Yeah. But I mean, the thing is I understand, the roster building. That line sort of felt like the last table at the wedding with the random people that had to sit together.
Yeah. It's the people that no, I want you here.
It's the old adage of the international game, though, where it's like, hey, I know you normally do this, but you're on this team right now. You got to change your role and do this instead.
Yeah.
And probably McDavid has the better shot of the two. So I would say, Marner, you're going to be the quarterback.
Yes.
McDavid, you're the sniper. You get open.
And I would agree with that, but they don't seem to be playing that way.
No.
Well, and it's tough, right? Because
it's hard to switch your role like that, too.
Yeah. And I mean, especially when it's McDavid. He was just, especially that Sweden game, he was just sliced through everybody. He was gaining his own himself. And it's how does he not do that?
I wonder what the coaches actually do in this tournament. Like, can Cooper actually sit down and tell that line, okay, this is your role, your role, your role?
Right.
Or does he just sit back and say, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, the closest I saw was him talking about that. He said that the discussions go like, okay, well, what do you like? What do you expect? Like, what do you need to like play your best game? And he sort of had that conversation with everybody and then tried to base the lines off of what he thought was like, okay, this guy needs this, which again, like you get your Zach Hyman type, you know, and anyways, yeah. So, yeah.
So US and Finland.
US watched that Canada game and was like, hey, Sweden, hold my beer.
Yeah.
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 Go for it. I think we can talk about this one pretty quick. Not going to lie.
Oh, yeah. I think you could sum it up. I watched all of it.
Me too.
I thought Finland did a great job for the first two periods. They were grinding. They were doing exactly the stat Chris Cuthbert said that I had no idea. They're like all those injuries and stuff. There's only 11 Finnish defensemen in the entire NHL.
In the entire league.
And some of them have only played like 2 games.
Yeah.
The really AHLers.
So arguably, they should have the least effective defensive core.
Right.
And surprised me and really held their own in the first period.
Yeah.
They were still hanging on in the second period. And then the third period, to me, just felt like they ran out of gas. Not going to lie. Like they
ran out of gas, and like Saros, it's funny, he was like up there with Vezina with Hellebuck, and like he's
Leaf
really
fans were begging for him at one point.
Yeah,
they were. Yeah.
And like, I mean, the first minute of the third, it was just like
and away they went.
It was crazy how fast the wheels fell off in a tight game like that. Anyways, it's too bad. But I mean, I sort of felt bad for them because I'm like, they're missing so many, you know.
I don't want to get off in the weeds on this either, but gosh, and I forget his name too. His last name's Hamilton. Gary might know who I mean. He works at UNB, but he's a sports psychologist. Anyway, but I sat and had lunch with him one day. He was the guest speaker at our school, and he works with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he works with the Canadian World Junior team every year. He does sports psychology, teaches at UNB. And he said there's something to do. It's not just physically, it's also mentally. When you are exhausted, it's far easier to just keep on going than it is to stop. And he said, like, so there's this thing, like, when you're barely holding on anyway, but you somehow powered through that second period, and then you literally go sit for 10 minutes, right? Like, your body has already, for a lot of them, like, if they're at their wit's end, and that, like I'm exhausted, like, I already just pushed as hard as I could go, I don't got much left.
And then
it would have been far easier to have kept on playing. Not that it's easier. That's like your body goes into rest mode. You shut down. You stopped. Right.
Yeah.
You relaxed for a second and you stopped and you lose. Anyway, not that that's why, but they looked like a completely different team that third period, and they looked tired. The first period, they looked very good. Like, I was very surprised. And then in the second period, it was like, oh, guys, hold on. You can do it. Hold on. Do you know what I mean? And then in the third period, it was like, no. Yikes. Like, whew. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah. That was around the time, too, that they, Sullivan, I think, found the Kachuk, Eichel, or Kachuk, Eichel, however you want to say it. He found that line, and they kind of went to work. But, yeah, it felt more to me that it was just kind of Finland becoming undone with the pressure and the grind. And, because I was like, oh, my goodness, if they get it to overtime, I mean, you know, they'd be US be in the same boat as Canada with 2 points instead of 3. And anyways, 6-1, that didn't happen.
So then we have Sweden and Finland. You know, it was actually a pretty good. I was surprised.
So I got to be honest, I barely saw any of that game. It was on in the afternoon, and we were doing stuff, and I
probably saw 60% of it. As you can imagine, was pretty quick. It was very European hockey. Do you know what I mean? It was pretty quick. And then the upset, you know what I mean? Probably the quote of the whole game is the presser with Patrick Laine afterwards. We're the big brother now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, dear. It's funny, right? Like, if this tournament was played in Europe, that would have been the biggest game. Like, because they, you know, like, that's a long rivalry between those two.
While I'm enjoying this 3-on-3 10-minute overtime sort of, the better team doesn't necessarily win. You're not playing 5-on-5 hockey. You sat two of them. It's 3-on-3. Sweden almost scores. You're talking inches. Like, Soros doesn't know where that puck is. Do you know what I mean? He has no idea where that is. He spins around and it flies out from underneath his legs. And two Swedish players are still in a way. They go up the ice and Grönlund scores. Like, it's just, and it's glorified breakaway, right? Is what it was. It's 3-on-3. And there's no catching them, and there's no, and that's fine. That's the way it is. It's the same way Canada. That's how Canada beat Sweden. It's the same.
Sweden almost scored on Binnington there too.
Yeah, yes they did. Yes they did. So, but you see my point. Like, it's an overtime win with an asterisk. I always feel like, because it's like, well, it wasn't 5-on-5.
Better than a shootout, but not the same.
Better than a shootout, but not the same as an overtime. Yeah.
Well, you're right. It's a great point about that. Like, you know, the best team doesn't always. It's just whoever rides the momentum swing the right way, and like you can be a terrible team and
don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake.
The odd man rushes or the 2-on-1s are so easy. You know, you just need that one guy who takes a big shot from the point on the side, so the puck rims around, and then you're probably going to win.
Yep. It's very. So, like, I'm going to give some credit here to Sweden. They were literally 2 inches away from beating Canada in overtime.
Yeah.
And then they were about 3 inches away from beating Finland in overtime. And here they are with no wins.
Yeah.
And they were, it was inches. Like inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It was like people were talking about the save by Binnington. I'm like, you know, if he'd stopped the Jonas Brodin shot. Oh, and the Adrian Kempe shot.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about this. He wouldn't have had to make it in the first place.
No, and they would have had 3 points.
Anyways. Yeah. Anyways.
True story.
So, anyways, the big one. Yeah. You want to set her up?
I was disappointed that the trending Google search wasn't Thomas Harley at 8 o'clock last night. I went to the Google Trends just to see.
Oh, did you?
Wasn't as high as I would have liked.
I had a whole conspiracy theory with that. I thought for sure Makar was going to play. I'm like, oh yeah, he's sick because that allows them to get Harley there, and then now they've got spare.
He walked into the arena that night.
Did.
Didn't he?
He did.
So I would have to be pretty sick to miss that game.
I know, and I'm like,
I could walk.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I'm a conspiracy guy too, and here's my thought. That Saturday was not the big one. Thursday's the big one.
It's a great point.
Yep.
It's a good point.
So, like, if Canada wins on Saturday, great. We're all full of pride and everything else, and I'm still crapping a brick till Thursday. So, if he's not feeling well at all, you get him up here, you rest Makar, and you go all in, that hopefully isn't all in on Finland, right? And you want everybody healthy and ready to go and have all your options for Thursday.
Yeah, so if he's really not feeling well, you don't put him on the bus with the rest of the team. You don't bring him to the rink. You chain him to a hotel bed by himself so he doesn't sprint this thing.
That is a very valid point.
I saw someone say make him roommates with Binnington. Just oh dear, yeah.
Because boys, I did see that clip. He's walking into the rink. He doesn't look all right.
No, he definitely he looked
I've
pale
seen people
and
looking
sweaty.
worse. Yeah, but he looked pale and he looked, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't. And from what I understand,
he was trying to hide too, eh? He was trying to I could he was sort of trying to duck behind the other players.
You talk about a game time decision, because I bet you that was a pride thing. For all we know, they said like, Cale, stay in the hotel, stay back, rest. It'll be all right. And it could have been his call. They're like, no, I want to go. And then at 5 o'clock, they could have been like, Cale.
You got to think the dude's 25. He's had his first chance to play in like a Canada-US game. He's Canada's number one guy.
Oh,
that's pretty tough to just go, all right, I'll stay home. I'll just take a nap.
Did they ever miss him last night? That was a big missing piece to the power play. That was a big missing piece when you pulled the goalie, because he would have been on for all of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the way the Americans played, that's the guy that can make the difference to break that. At least break that kind of defense.
He's also by far Canada's fastest defenseman. By far. So you also have that aspect of it too with he plays with McKinnon all the time. You know what I mean? That is a line that gets put together on purpose with that pairing behind McKinnon on a pretty regular basis. Am I not wrong?
No.
You are. There's a reason for it.
Well, the Americans at this point are listening, being like, "Wah, wah, wah." Canadians who think we're not missing Quinn Hughes.
Yeah,
and that's fair too. That's fair too. Yes, because they that would be their Quinn Hughes, right? Is our Cale Makar. That's fair. You're right, Gary. You're very right.
It's just to me, it was like the way they were built to play. The way they were built. Now, how do you, I can't say this without saying, but Makar's game, I think helps the way Canada's built more than the way Quinn Hughes is.
Helps the way the American team's been
built. Like Jacob Slavin and Adam Fox, that's what, you know what I mean? They're super good at defending, and they don't have the high speed. Well, they got Jack Eichel, but they don't have a lot of that same sort of high speed. And the thing is in Vancouver, it's different. Quinn Hughes, I think, is getting a lot of attention, especially the last 2 years, because he's been doing it all himself. Because he hasn't Pettersson hasn't been the same, and Besser kind of, I don't know what happened there. So a lot of these clips you see of Hughes, it's he's skating it up himself. He's doing all the work, and he's been getting a lot of notoriety for that. But and Makar can do that. He has those plays where he'll do that, but it's how he train. It's the transition to get it to quick forwards and get the puck up the ice just as fast as possible. It's just two different things.
Yeah, and I know what you mean too, because Quinn Hughes is big skates to fill. But I said, as if I didn't steal it from somebody, but when we were talking about rosters, not even last episode, the episode before, and I said the reason why I worry about the US is they've added grit, that there's sandpaper there. And it's like we went pure talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the last minute, Cooper goes, can we get Sam Bennett? Is that something we can do? Can we call up Sam Bennett? Do you know what I mean? Because it's this was my fear. Where's your checking line? And don't say Marchand. You know what I mean? Where's our sandpaper?
Yeah.
Right? Like we went pure talent, which is going to match up fine with Finland and Sweden. It's not going to match up with the US.
Well, and we're trying to do that with Cirelli, Hagel, and Point. And exactly. Like I understand what they were trying to do. Well, in the he ended up playing on the fourth line, and then
I feel like I didn't hear his name all night.
Well, he was playing with it was a Tampa Bay line that he put together. It was Cirelli, Point, and Hagel on the fourth line. But towards the end of it on the third, he ended up taking shifts with he was with McDavid and Crosby at one point. He finally started doing some line juggling in the third. So, but yeah, he wasn't around a whole lot. But anyways,
didn't hear him because his job was just to clog things up.
Yeah. Like guys on pace to have a 100-point season or whatever. But.
So we're running out of time already, but I'd be remiss to not bring up the start of that game. Thoughts?
So I had no idea. But while Sportsnet was on air in the warm-ups, it showed Tkachuk skating by Hagel, and he says something to him, right? And it's like,
and Hagel kind of looks over his shoulder. Yeah,
I'm like, what? Like, okay, like, what is that about? And so you see Tkachuk, he's not even looking at the face-off, and he's looking straight at him, and you're like, oh wow, like, okay. And then I didn't realize they had a bit of a history. Obviously, it's the Florida. So I'm like, okay, I just haven't seen it, but all right.
Yeah, it exists. Yeah.
And then the other two fights happen, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, this is like the Summit Series. Like, this is like.
It is kind of funny that it's like the best thing we ever saw. But it's like if that happened in a normal NHL game and it was just a prearranged fight off the draw, we'd all be like, I
know.
Why'd you do that?
I know.
But it's like the crowd was so amped up that it just met the moment.
It met and I mean, and I'm sitting there with a bunch of thoughts. Like, for one, I'm like, I hate that this has political undertones. I hate it. I don't want it to be about
me too.
That.
It's why I like sports.
It's why, we got to talk about all over.
So we got to talk about why Russia's not in the tournament? Is that what you mean?
Well, the anthems, because Sportsnet's been doing everything it can to try to get these boos out of the broadcast and whatever.
You can say what you want about politics not being in the tournament. The only reason this tournament exists is because of politics. Otherwise, it would have been a World Cup.
Well, that's right. Well, 100%. I guess politics that really affect me a lot.
Yeah.
But can I be honest about a couple things? And I don't want to be that guy. And then you two will understand. So we're musicians also, which means like, and Jeremy's in the audio recording world and stuff, and I do video and stuff. Like we're aware. Like we're recording this episode right now. We're acutely aware. But number one, when they're booing that anthem, they're not booing the team. Like they're partially booing the team, but people need to understand Canadians are upset. I've seen a lot of Americans upset that Canada threatened to tariff the US. I don't understand that. I can't wrap my head around that. That's like if Gary pointed a gun at me and then I pointed a gun back at Gary and then Gary got all offended and said, wait, what are you doing? Hold her. Easy.
I told you not to do that.
Calm down.
I told you not to do that. While he's still
doing this.
While he's still holding the gun at me, yes. So that's number one. So like, while I do get upset at booing the anthems though, because it's more than that. It's the game. It's where the athletes are from. It's even respecting each other's veterans. It's just respecting each other's heritage. You don't need to boo. A bigger statement would have been. Well, yeah, but no, Gary, can I tell you a more creative thing? Would have been absolute silence. You could hear a cricket chirp in there.
Or turn your backs.
Yeah.
Something. But just don't boo.
Take a knee.
Now, that said, everyone's upset.
Throw waffles on the ice. whatever that was
something.
About.
So now here's my conspiracy thought, and I wanted your guys' thought. So you guys watched what I watched, and granted, we weren't there. But at one point, the boos got louder, and it wasn't like the boos got naturally louder. Sportsnet has microphones in there.
Yes.
And it was like they turned it up. It was like some producer in a truck somewhere is like, oh, they're booing. Turn that up, turn that up, turn that up so they can hear the boos at home. Turn it up.
It's funny you say that because they've had other times where that's exactly what goes on because they've tried, you can tell who's the anthem? I think it was at the first game where the US Finland game where the person singing the American anthem, it was just like the drop, like it sounded like this. It sounded like someone singing directly into a microphone in a closet. They turned all the arena mics were off.
Yeah.
So it was exactly like, and sometimes like it's sort of, I feel like that ties into, when you talk about certain arenas sounding loud or not, like we talk about it with Toronto all the time. It's like, a lot of that depends on the how they're doing that in the truck. Like that whole
it's literally the production truck.
So anyways, you're 100% right. So I was expecting them to come down and if anything, it was like super loud. And I was like,
but that means someone turned that up.
Right. Like, so that's, probably someone making a statement of their own.
The boos aren't being picked up through Buddy's Beta 87 or whatever it is he's thinking into. That's not what's picking up the boos. Do you know what I mean? That's only picking up him. So they turned that arena sound up. Like it.
So the part that
they turned on Brad Marchand's mic. That's all it was.
I was dying. They bring out Michelle Kwan. Did you see that?
I felt bad for her, man. Everyone likes Michelle Kwan. Everybody likes Michelle Kwan, and they throw her into the middle of Montreal for a Canada-US game.
And they obviously told her, they told her nothing what was going to happen.
Obviously
She's all
not.
smiles. And, let's go, USA! The booze raining down, and she's like...
And then who comes out for Team Canada? Arguably one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters to ever enter the octagon.
Oh, yeah, like...
They get a figure skater. We get GSP.
I don't know if the producers thought, oh, they'll forget and they'll cheer Michelle Kwan and we'll just quickly do it while they're cheering. And I don't know how much she follows hockey because she had no idea what was going to happen.
But
that was not a person ready to be booed.
Some of these boos, mind you, when production turns up the boos so you can hear it at home, it's not like they manufactured the boos either.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you play that back, you can barely kind of sort of hear a boo to the point of my wife sitting next to me and says, oh no, like, are they booing? Like, I'm so embarrassed. Are they starting to boo? And then it got louder and louder. And if anything, if people started to boo, there is an attitude towards that now that for every one person booing, there's 6 people next to them going, would you stop?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like not, and there was Americans in there, and there's a bunch of kids in there. So you take away all those. There's probably not that many, at most, maybe 1/5 of the crowd booing, but it sounded like 20,000 people were booing because they turned it up so loud.
It's so hard. I hear you. It's really hard to tell what is.
You'd have to be in the arena to know.
Yeah.
You'd have to be in the arena, but I will say, if you watch that back just for the anthem, the camera even pans around the crowd, and I see nobody booing.
You're still seeing like 5% of the people that are there.
Yeah.
There could be the other 95% could be booing.
Because like,
how do you know? But you know what I mean, though. Like it's
the U.S. Finland game. There was someone put a video of where they were sitting, and in the guy's phone video, the whole section is booing.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that just anyway? You don't know, right? Is that?
There was one of them where the crowd was silent and then somebody yelled out F Trump and then they all just started booing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all to do with that. Anyway, I will. I'm trying to watch the clock because we're already longer than we said we would be. But the 3 fights, can I just rank these and ask you what you think? I've seen lots of comments today, and I think they're all wrong. And one guy argued against his own argument, and it was hilarious. And I almost commented, and I thought, no, you can't win an argument on Facebook, so I'm not even going to get into... One guy said that Hagel clearly beat Matthew Tkachuk, and if a bunch of Americans chimed in and disagreed that Tkachuk beat Hagel, how can you think Hagel beat Tkachuk? Just because Hagel ended up on top of him on the ground doesn't mean he won a fight. But then when that was the argument, I'm like, okay, so Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, not going to lie, if you watch them when they're on their skates, that's actually a bit of a toss-up. But Brady ends up on top of Sam Bennett, and that's your argument for he won.
Oh, yeah. I know.
So in my mind, Hagel, if he edges him out at all, it's like a 60-40. It's not a clear win. Brady Tkachuk feels like more of a clear win, like a 70-30. I think he beat Sam Bennett. And then JT Miller had the brakes beat off him.
Yeah, that was
a hands down.
Yeah,
we don't need to go to the judges.
Taller.
Yeah, there's and to be fair, Brady's way bigger than Sam Bennett too. That was just it is what it is.
I say there is no argument. It's what you said earlier. It was pure strategy.
I think it was strategy.
The U.S. won the fights because they happened.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because they happened. And a lot of the posts I saw today, one guy was mad about, you boo our anthem, this is what you get. And it was like, that was premeditated, right? Like he was talking to Hagel before the anthems. Like they didn't know they were going to boo. They probably assumed that, but that wasn't why. I think it was a game plan. I think they saw Canada in the first 10 minutes versus Sweden, and they thought, we cannot let this happen. We can't let that happen.
There's
in this
two
atmosphere,
sides to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to that though, because I was kind of laughing like, because when Brady fought, I'm like, okay, so you want 2 players from your top line in the box for 5 minutes to start this game, and you congratulations, you took Brant Hagel, Sam Bennett, and Colton Parayko, like. Not a great trade. So, I understand, like you said, the fact that that happened at all. And it was very clearly the Tkachuk's doing. Yeah, that's a win on their side. But in my mind, I was like, this is great. Keep them in the box.
The flip side of that would have been if Canada took a penalty in the first 5 minutes, half of their penalty kill unit would have been in box.
That. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like calling winners and losers of fights because it's so subjective. It ends up like you said, it ends up being the guy that falls on top of the other guy, and I'm like, how do you?
It's not though, but it's nothing to
do. My only thing with that is in the Hagel fight, because a lot of times you can't even really see. It's not a good angle, but I think when you see a guy, there's a punch thrown, and then the guy's he's very clearly he's really trying to keep his distance, and it's like he just took one. He needs a second. You know what I mean? And I saw Hagel do that a few times. The Tkachuk one, the other Brady Tkachuk, yeah, sure. Colt Parayko was pretty clear, but I mean,
that was the only clear-cut one, to be honest.
Yeah,
I could argue either way in the other two, but the Parayko Miller. Yeah, that was
either way though. After that third one, I was just like,
"What? We done now?
Is this gonna end?" And I felt bad because they did get the power play from that because JT Miller took the instigator.
Yes,
and I was like, "This is a dream," but I think that power play was almost nullified by just the extreme.
I do too.
It was an extreme vibe in there. The energy was insane. The crowd was insane. And I think they just start the game on a power play after all that had gone on. And I think they were just sort of
dazed, man.
Yeah.
Whatever your game plan was just went right out the window. Like your first 10 minutes, this line's starting, you're going to do, okay, nope, it's all gone. Everything's, we can't match lines because that line's not even out. We can't, because half of them are in the box. Like the whole thing was just.
Even like Hagel himself there, they interviewed him after the period asking him
said he blacked out.
Like, yeah, I just blacked out. I don't remember.
Yeah.
My favorite line of his was, I'm not backing down from him. He said,
Oh yeah.
Like, it was not having it. Like they do not like each other and they don't like each other. Matthew Tkachuk knew exactly, I want him. I'm going at him on
the other thing too, I was sort of like seeing that he was injured and he didn't play like the last half of the third or whatever it was.
Like a solid 14 minutes or something he didn't play that last.
Well, I half wondered if he knew something was bugging him when the game started and thought, well, I may as well just get in a fight. Like I'm not even going to play that much anyway. At least I can, get something going.
I know the Tkachuks, they did a presser together and they said it was, we had a group chat going earlier.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about it long before.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, but anyway, just for all the people saying they fought because of the anthems, they did not. They lined that up at 1:00 in the afternoon. They were in a group chat saying this.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the Tkachuks. I mean, those guys are charged up too to play together.
And fair enough.
Like
they
those
were
guys
just
are
as hyped
tight.
as Canada was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we can like overall, like once that all kind of settled in and whatever. Like I thought Doughty and Harley were probably Canada's best pair.
Agreed.
At least for being responsible and trying to make stuff happen.
Doughty only had one moment later where I wanted to kill him, but other than that,
and it's like, man, like the dude just came back. He played what, 7 games?
And he doesn't look like it. He's only played like it's 6 or 7 games he's played this year. That's it.
And he sends
looked phenomenal.
He sends that pass to McDavid from like his own, like the face-off, right to the tape of McDavid, and he takes off at 400 miles an hour.
He had one play where he just kind of whiffed on the puck a bit. And it wasn't really a cough up. It was more like a really not as hard as the pass should have been at all, kind of whiffed on it, and they took it. And it turned out to be nothing, but I was ready to throw something at my TV. Do you know what I mean?
Because it was you're talking about because McKinnon was teed up for a one-timer.
Oh, yeah. And it's there was, I'm going to give the Americans all the credit in the world, though, because that third period, they clogged the lanes. There was not going to be a puck get through to Hellebuck. They clogged those lanes. And McKinnon's just right teed up. Like it's, oh my gosh. What the heck was that? Like the puck just like.
It was the funniest.
I swear you could hear the puck go. Like it's just kind of like. The pass was so bad. It's like the puck itself saw McKinnon teed up and was like, nope.
And it was just he held it. He looked at him for like it felt like an eternity.
Yeah, it was weird.
He's very clearly going to pass it, and then when he decides to do it, it just
like it was really bad.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that was dying laughing at that.
No,
I was supposed to be mad, but I was just like, that's so funny.
No, anyways. I went from mad to laughing. Like, what the heck? I would have been mad if they had scored off it. You know what I mean? I think I would have been pretty upset.
But yeah, to suit like overall,
Thomas Harley was not on my radar.
No,
not at
So
all.
I'm going to agree with you there.
Quite a bit of Dallas, but
you do watch quite a bit of Dallas.
I have this year, but when they announced that, I was like, Harley?
Yeah,
but he looked good.
Yeah,
like a lot of people thought it was going to be Evan Bouchard, or
thankfully not.
You could make an argument for Chris Tanev.
Yeah, some people.
I mean, we're too late now, but if you wanted that grit, block shots, penalty kill,
I would have had no problem with that.
Yeah,
I would have had no problem.
You're not going to get any offense out of that man whatsoever. But if it's if you're up 1 goal and they pull the goalie, right? and you're in a defensive lockdown, you want Chris Tanev in front of your goalie.
He will block it with all of his teeth that he has left.
Yes. Like he is just... I want the Leafs to trade for his brother now. Like those two, like...
Yeah, the interesting thing with Harley, he's in a bit of I think it's the sophomore slump. Because he had a rookie season that was like came out of nowhere, and he was like I think he was in Calder conversation.
Yeah, but he looked very good. He looked very, very good.
Yeah, he pairs up with Doughty, and like I guess the two of them maybe just kind of said, well, may as well just work. May as well just do it. But yeah, the American defense, again that like the Gensel goal, I was like, man,
shoulda, coulda, woulda. A goal's a goal, but
and
it was weak.
How does he not have that? And then it was
a weak one.
The Americans, the way they're built and the way they're so good is they were able to defend a 1-goal lead. They did the whole like their forwards dropped back. They blocked the neutral zone, completely took advantage that Canada didn't have anyone to transport the puck up the ice or just get it to the forwards to get in the zone. It just stopped. There was no offense, like barely. They had a couple of good cycle chances and stuff, but like, overall it was really, really tight, and it's just like, yeah, but so you kind of to your point you were making earlier, Gary, like, it's Canada.
Best hockey.
yeah, 100%. And it's like, that's those guys over there. That's like the best group of hockey players you could have to stop this one. So yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
My
big fear with the U.S. was, and listen, I think we're not three bitter Canadians sitting here. The U.S. beat Canada. Right? Like I can't stand the trolls online and stuff. My fear was the sandpaper and the grit that the U.S. had. And if the U.S. get a lead, I'm scared their roster set up to keep it. If they can get a lead, they're going to be able to keep it because they will protect. And they locked that down.
Well,
there wasn't an open shot to be had in that third period.
No.
Oh no, it was all traffic.
It was hard. Yeah, like, and to your point, the hitting, like the physicality was no problem for Canada. It was insane. Like
the U.S. hit more, but Canada took it and they gave it back almost as much.
I think they gave it back. I'd
like to see the stats. At one point, the U.S. had 8 more hits than Canada or whatever, but. It
was the U.S. was hitting hard up front, but then once they got the lead, they weren't the aggressor anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a bit of
the stats would be pretty skewed, but
But
McAvoy hits early though were
awesome.
Wow.
What the heck?
He was the guy that got burned by McDavid, so he just hit him 10 times after that.
Crosby nearly took his head off there on the boards.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I wanted to say was about Crosby. I mean, it was tough because like I think like it was really hard for him to be noticeable. He was certainly trying, but it was like, man, he had some like the goal. Which one was that? He had the turnover.
Yeah,
he turned it over. I forget which guy got it. Anyways, but he didn't have a great game. It looked a little kind of too fast, I think, for him or something. But like, I'm just hoping, like you said this earlier, Tyson, like Thursday is the actual big one. Now they have to
beat Finland.
They have to not be upset.
And I'm sorry, they are not going to walk over Finland. Like if I'm betting money, I'm betting on Canada to beat Finland. But do I think it's going to be a cakewalk? No.
It's going to be another tight checking game.
It will be too. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting watch. Yeah.
Hopefully McCarr's feeling better.
That's the rumor.
That's
the rumor is Makar is in for tomorrow and Kachuk's out. So
yeah, that's what I've seen. So, anyways,
and then they get a rest in between, right? So
yeah, but yeah, that TD Garden is going to be pretty hostile.
And fair enough. Like that's part of my, as a fan, I'm like, would you guys stop booing so hard and stuff? Like our guys got to go down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, then if they do it, it's on them. But now when they do it, they're doing it back. Right? Like
Boston's going to boo Marchand.
I know. I wondered that.
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. But I was laughing. There's a chance
and Matthews
will get booed. To both places.
Yeah, like people will be very torn. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that stuff, man. I
can see Marner getting the treatment when he touches the puck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. 2 games on the docket tomorrow. We'll slash today when this comes out, but yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways. Well, that's a long one, but lots to talk about.
But yeah, there was. So, fair enough.
Yeah. Go Canada.
Go Canada. Keep your sticks on the ice.